And now we got
This
ourselves
list
a
will
little
try its best to
background
pick the
noise.
10
The
best
top 10
fusion
best
monsters,
fusion monsters.
but not
Requested
necessarily
by
the
Divided
most
by 9.
powerful
Obviously
ones.
made by the dual
So,
logs.
fusion monsters that are more versatile will probably make the list over fusion monsters with more destructive capabilities.
Also, we will not be
Starting
using
off
the
at number
monsters
10,
that he's done
we
10
have
million
Blaze
times to
Phoenix,
death that he's
the
sick of
burning
talking
bombardment
about.
bird. This card has the effect to
I
inflict
can't believe we got
300
Blaze
points of damage
Phoenix
to your
support
opponent for each
somewhat
card on the
recently.
field. But
Like,
it
they
can't
weren't in the
attack the
5Ds
turn
manga,
you
but
use its
still.
effect. Now, the effect itself
Also,
is
just
some pretty
for the
standard
record,
burn damage.
being a background
and not
noise
really
channel,
worth this
there's nothing
list
wrong
on
with
its
that.
own.
We don't need that.
It's
You know
the
what?
fact that
Top
it's
10
not
lists
a
may be the
hard
junk
once
food
per
of
turn
YouTube,
effect
but
that
sometimes
makes
a
it
little junk
little
food
bit
is
of a
A-okay.
popular card. You see,
We all want
you
McDonald's
can't
from
only
time
use
to
the
time,
effect
and that's
once per
okay.
turn, but for each copy of this card, they all get their own once per turn. So, if you can recycle this card, or bring out all 3 copies, you can use its effect multiple times a turn. And there are a few ways to bring this card out rather easily, multiple times a turn.
Especially if you have the
most
anime
popular being
freaking
the Fusion Gate chain
thing.
material combo. With these 2
Fusion,
cards,
somebody
you can
using
fuse the
fusion
card with
materials in your
from
extra deck. You know
and
what?
seemingly bring
So
it
basically
out
for
multiple
free?
times a turn. This combo was slowed down with Link monsters put in place, but not completely.
Nope.
And that's why this
Though it
card
did
is
kill the
currently
Electrum
limited in the
FTK.
OCG to stop crazy one-turn burn combos with Blaze Phoenix, and not necessarily only ones that rely on Fusion Gate and chain material.
Although it is a fun
At
name
number
to
9,
say,
we have
Blaze
Thousand
Phoenix, the
Eyes
burning
Restrict.
bombardment
This was
bird.
the first ever fusion monster to be banned in the game.
For
and
10
stayed
years.
banned for well over 10 years before finally coming off the ban list in 2016.
A part of me wishes it
Thousand Eyes
stayed
Restrict
gone,
was
though,
the
because
first
sometimes
fusion
they keep
monster with an
restricting the
effect,
field. It's
and
like,
the
well,
only level 1 fusion monster until
huh,
Full Metal
this
Foe
just got a lot
Outcast
more
came
boring.
out 16 years later. Let's go over the card's effect and talk about what was so bad about the card for so long. The card basically has 2
Alcahast
effects.
is just the
It can
worst
absorb
for
one of your
Vanquish-
opponent's monsters
or
and
Thousand
gain
Eyes Restrict, I
stats.
should say.
And while it's out on the field, other monsters on the field can't change their battle positions.
This is the
or,
only
here's
thing
the
that's
big
allowed
thing,
to do anything.
attack, giving you basically a 1-card lockdown on all attacks. Now, both
It's
these
not
effects are good,
unbreakable or anything
and
like
were
that. It's not
game-changing
like the
when
most
it first
busted
came out,
card
that
ever
it
made.
defined the
God,
grid
it's
control
annoying when you don't have
format.
the out to
A
it.
format so well loved by the community, people still play it to this day.
Even though it's a
Basically,
little
since
overrated.
Thousand Eyes Restrict was level
It's not
1,
bad, it's just a little
you could just use
overrated, that's all.
Metamorphosis on a Scapegoat token to bring out Thousand Eyes Restrict without a normal fusion summon. So in order to stop this, they banned Metamorphosis and Thousand Eyes Restrict, and limited Scapegoat.
Because if that doesn't fix it,
Eventually,
nothing
Scapegoat
will,
and
right?
Thousand Eyes Restrict got loosened off the ban list a bit,
But
but
Metamorphosis...
Metamorphosis is still banned to this day.
I wonder if it'll
But even
ever
with
come off.
Metamorphosis
You know what, they'll probably
banned,
make a
they were
freaking
hesitant
retrain
to
of it
bring
one
back
day just to
Restrict
give
because
Neo
of the card
Bubbleman
Instant
something.
Fusion, which could bring it out and steal a monster. Eventually, though, the power creep of the game got to a point
I mean, didn't
that wasn't really a big deal
never
anymore,
mind.
so they took Thousand Eyes off the ban list, and it is indeed used with Instant Fusion to steal monsters before
course it
using
is.
it as a Link material to
Of course,
this day.
it's probably part of why
And at
Link
number
Karibo
8,
got
we
banned.
have
Like, it's not the
Invoked
reason,
Macabre.
obviously,
This card
but
has
it's
the
probably
effect to
somewhere
negate
in the
an effect if you
equation.
discard a card from your hand of the same type. So if you want to stop a monster effect, you discard a monster card, a spell card for a spell card, and etc. And while this is a decent effect, what makes this card so good is how easy it is to bring out. It just requires 1 Invoker and 1 Light type monster.
It was a meme
Light
for a
type
while.
monsters show
Normal
up in pretty
summon
much
and
every deck.
Alistair.
And the
Go
Invoker
into
cards
Secure
are so
Guard.
consistent,
Or no,
they are basically
go
an
into
engine you can splash into
Illumirage,
just about any other
play
deck.
Invocation, or maybe
It's
it was
easy to bring out
Illumirage
blanket
and
negation
then
on a
Secure Guard,
decent-sized body.
and then
And the
Mechaba.
card is currently
It's one of the
limited in the
ways.
OCG. Number 7. Thunder Dragon Colossus.
He's free now!
Colossus has the
I hate
effect
it.
of mistake, basically.
Because it
Except
was
only
a
for your
mistake.
opponent, meaning they can't search out cards, which is a big deal against pretty much all
Especially
metadecks.
when it
It's
refuses
also
to
really
die.
easy to bring out and has built-in protection. You only need to tribute 1
It
Thunder
is a
type
better
monster on your
boss
side of the
monster
field
than their
to special
actual
summon it from
boss
the extra deck,
monster.
as long as you activated a Thunder monster effect.
I
in your
forgot what
hand
I was
that turn.
saying, if I was
And if
saying
it would be
anything
destroyed by battle or
previously.
card effect, you can
Other than
banish
I
the
don't
Thunder
like
monster
Colossus,
from your graveyard
but
instead.
whatever. I haven't
With a
played the Venom for a
decent-sized
while,
body
so
of
maybe it's not a
2600 attack
problem
as
anymore.
well, this card is amazing. There's also a Thunder Dragon Titan,
But no
another
one
Thunder
cares
Dragon
about him,
fusion
although I
monster
do
who's only
like
a
it because
little
it's
harder
basically
to bring
King
out
Ghidorah.
and has basically the same protection.
And I'm a
Except
simp
its
for
effect is to
Godzilla
destroy a card on the
references.
field if you activate a Thunder monster effect in your hand. Since I like to only include 1 monster of each archetype on these kinds of lists, I choose Colossus, but Titan is also very
Titan's
good.
not a bad
and
card,
some would
it's just that
argue even
Colossus is
better.
right there. And
Number 6,
it's, like,
El
better in a lot
Shaddai
of ways.
Construct. This card has the effect to destroy a
lot
special
of people
summon
have
monster
with her
at
coming
battles at
back.
the start of the damage step. Basically, a Cataster, but for special summon
So
monsters.
a better Cataster.
But that's not all. It floats on death into a card that
Arguably.
can just bring it out again,
Cataster can take
and
care of
its
normal summon
materials to be
monsters.
brought out also float when used as fusion materials. Well, kind of. The Shadow cards all float when used as fusion material, but its light type monster requirement may not, depending on the light type monster used. It has a good effect.
I use Outstanding
easy
Dog
to bring out
Maroon,
requirement,
just 'cause I
and a
like having
floating
extra
effect
cards
on
still in
death
my deck that can,
directly
you know, make
contributes to
conflict
it being
again
brought out
later.
again. The card is currently banned in the TCG for
Not
being
anymore.
good,
Good for
currently
being
not at all
good.
limited
That's
in
a lot of
YuGiOh
cards, to be fair.
and from what I understand, it's not really being used. So it could make a return in the TCG sometime in the future.
Possibly.
Number 5.
Oh, wait,
Gem
it
Knight
did. What am I
Seraphin
saying?
Knight. This card has the effect
I don't
to
think
allow
she's
one
back
more
yet.
normal
I
summon
could be
for the
wrong,
turn.
though. I
It's
really need to
basically
be
the
in
monster
mind if
card
I'm wrong.
version
There's
of
a lot
double
of cards on
summon,
the ban list.
and it sees a lot of play for this double summon
did.
effect. But honestly, the reason this card is so heavily used is
Extra
100%
normal summon.
because of Brilliant
That
Fusion.
too.
Brilliant Fusion allows you to send materials
think
from your deck
Brilliant's
to the
still
graveyard
banned,
to
though.
bring out Seraphin
It
Knight.
got a retrade,
Only
too.
the card
It's
will
just...
have 0 attacking defense.
Nah,
which
just give me
isn't
Brilliant Fusion,
really a
dog.
problem, since out of the deal, you get a second
Gem
normal
Knight's
summon
got
for the turn,
done so
a
dirty.
free monster
Only
on the
3
field for
new
link
cards.
plays,
It's like, why
and a
even bother?
light type monster in the graveyard.
I mean, it's better than
of
nothing,
which
but at
there
that
are
point, it's
plenty of
basically
good
nothing.
targets.
And yes, there is.
Funny how a lot of the best fusion monsters are the ones that require any light type monster to be used for one of its
Right.
materials. This card is so good with Brilliant Fusion that it can be splashed into just about any deck to make it better, with the advantage of a 1-card monster on the field, double summon, and light type monster mill Brilliant Fusion provides. It's 3 good benefits from playing 1 card that doesn't even use your normal summon. But there is the risk of drawing Garnet and losing all that advantage, a risk so worth the benefits that Garnet is literally the word people use to describe a dead card in their hand now.
I don't
because
think
of
that's
how
gone
widely
away.
used the
This
Brilliant
this
Fusion
episode
engine
is 5 years old.
Number 4,
but I don't
Masked
know.
Hero Dark
See,
Claw.
some of the things are still
This
true.
card has the effect where, while
This
it's
still
out,
has my favorite
all
Dark
cards your opponent
Light,
controls are removed
dual
from play
logs joke.
instead of being sent
He's
to the
hunched over
graveyard.
for carrying
So
the
it's like a
entire
one-sided
hero archetype.
macrocosmos. Also, if your opponent adds a card to their hand, you can banish 1 random card from your opponent's hand. Both of these effects are really good against pretty much every
Dark
meta
Law
deck.
is a good
There's
card.
a
and
reason
I still
Macrocosmos
freaking
is
don't
limited
like
in the
it.
TCG. Also, pretty much every
He is
major deck
Masked Hero
searches from
Fun
the deck in
Police
some way.
to
So
me.
turning those pluses in the hand into hand neutrals
Though I
by
do like its
randomly
design. It's got a really
disrupting
cool
it
design.
is really good. And also, this card is easy to bring out.
Very.
All you need to use is Mass Change on a Dark Hero type monster you control. A strategy so easy to pull off, even in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, Masked Heroes is a top
Yep,
tier
and they
deck,
don't have Dark
but
Law.
they don't have Masked
have
Hero Dark
Anki.
Law. If they did, they probably would be
They
the best
still don't
deck
have
in that
Dark
game.
Law, and I don't
This is the
know if
kind
they
of
ever
card you
will.
build decks around.
I can't say
because
for
it's so
certain,
good.
obviously,
And
but
that's exactly what you do,
95%
basically.
sure they
If you're running a
won't.
hero deck and you're not using Dark Law, then you're either running a Dark Warrior deck that just happens to use heroes, or you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Number 3, ABC Dragon
Yep.
Buster.
I
This
still can't
card
believe
has
we
a
got
spell speed
XYZ
2
support
effect to
recently.
discard 1
That
card
enemy
to
control
banish
thing.
1
It
card
was
on the
weird.
field. This card
It
is
was
also
cool, but it
the
was
only
weird.
fusion monster that can special summon itself from the extra deck by banishing the materials from your graveyard without having to use a spell card or any other effect.
And then
to do
Gate
this.
Guardians came
It just
along
has
and
a
stole
built-in
that gimmick.
Special summon itself from the extra deck.
The
by
Gate
banishing
Guardian
cards from
support
your
is just
graveyard,
ABCs to
giving
me,
it
I'm
one
sorry.
of the easiest summoning conditions
Though I
out
still
of all
want
the fusion
A, B,
monsters.
B, C,
And the
A,
card
C,
itself
you know, that
is
stuff.
good.
I want this
Spell
in
speed
between
2
forms.
to banish anything on the field is a great effect. And on top of all of that, it can also protect itself. If you think the card is about to get destroyed or removed from the field in some way, you can tribute it during your opponent's turn to special summon the 3 cards that brought it out from your banish zone. And if the cards survive, you can just bring it out again on your next turn. Well, another copy of it anyway. Especially since you only need those cards to basically be in the graveyard. So it's all but guaranteed to come out again on your next turn. Well, graveyard and the field, but having them in the graveyard is better. ABC Buster Dragon is such a good boss monster that it single-handedly turned a Union deck into a top-tier
Right.
meta deck.
It started the whole
Which is
trend
still
of
a
when
good rogue
activated,
deck to this
search.
Number 2,
Which,
Supreme King Dragon Starving Venom.
Which was
This
cool
card has the
until
effect
every
to
deck
basically
did that.
replace its effect
Anyway,
with an effect of
yeah.
a monster in your graveyard. And because of this effect,
I think
was
this thing
involved in a
came
very
off.
easy to
No,
pull
wait,
off
I don't think it
FTK.
did, actually. I was about to
As
say
you
it's off the
see,
list, but I don't think
if you
it's so
got the
anymore.
fusion monster Lyrilisk Independent Nightingale in your graveyard, and then copied its effect with Starving
This
Venom,
thing was
you'd have a
Nightingale.
monster on the field that was unaffected by other card effects, can inflict 4,000 points of burn damage to your opponent, and has piercing
It's
battle damage.
ridiculous.
It also has a pretty easy
This and
summoning
Tyrant
requirement.
Neptune were
You contribute 2
insane.
Dark Pendulum monsters to special summon this card from your extra deck, instead of having to use a polymerization type card. So, since it has a pretty easy summoning requirement, if you're able to bring out 2 of these cards on your first turn and dump an Independent Nightingale into the graveyard, that's 8,000 points of burn damage, or a first turn kill. And there was even a meta deck that was full of Dark Pendulum type monsters. So, this was a case of an
Poor
FTK
Venom.
being readily available to a deck that was already good on its own. All because of this one fusion monster.
Just hit
So even
the
if they weren't able
fucking
to pull off the
Nightingale,
FTK,
and this wouldn't
they
have
could still win
happened.
because
They
the rest
hit
of the
every
deck was
card
just as good.
around
And
Nightingale,
that's
but not
kind of why the
Nightingale
card got
itself.
banned. Usually, cards with an effect to copy monster
And granted,
effects from
Tyrant
the
Neptune and
graveyard
Starving Venom weren't
are
gonna
rare
like
or have
get
lots
better.
of limitations
Weren't
to
gonna
them.
get worse
There's
with
even
time as
another
soon as
card
you
on the
friggin'
ban
hit
list
Nightingale,
purely
but
because it has an
still.
effect to replace its current effect
But I guess,
permanently
you know, hitting
with an
those
effect
two
from the
makes
graveyard.
sense.
So with a card like Starving Venom,
Just went
who's
like,
easier
bruh.
to bring out than Neptune, well, it's no wonder it was banned, and why it's one of the best fusion monsters in the game. Even if they did instead ban Independent Nightingale, there would still be cards in the future that people could
Yeah,
find
it was
to use
future
its copy
proving.
effect
It
with.
makes sense. It's just one of those where
Now,
it's like,
number
bruh,
1 might not
you
be the
know?
most powerful fusion
You
monster
know.
in this list, but I do think it's one of the best. And that's Elder
Oh, you
Entity
mean the thing
Norden.
that's never
Norden has the
fusion
effect
summoned?
where,
Okay,
when it's
not
special
never.
summoned,
Rarely
target a level
fusion
4 lower
summoned.
monster in your graveyard and special summon
This
it.
thing, these card
but its
effect
effects
might
are
as well
negated
read.
and
This
it's
card can
banished
be
when
summoned
Norden
with
leaves the
instant
field.
fusion.
Now, the card doesn't exactly have an easy summoning requirement, as it requires a Synchro and an Exceeds monster as its materials, or a combination of the two, but it also doesn't have restrictions on its special summon. What this means is you can just use
Which is
instant
how
fusion to
everyone
bring
used
out
it.
the extra deck properly, and then special summon
Norden
it from the
again probably
graveyard
was
as
something
many times
legitimately
as you
once or
want.
twice, but it was
Since for
very
some
rare
reason, Instant
circumstances.
Fusion treats its special summon as a proper
Which means
fusion summon.
refusion can go
And
off.
with Norden and a little bit of setup in your graveyard, Instant Fusion becomes a 1-card Synchro, rank 4 Exceeds, or 2 extra link materials instantly.
I don't
without
think
having to
Norden
use
could
the
ever come
normal
off the
summon,
ban
which
list,
is
but I also don't
really
know for
good
sure.
and very
It's ridiculous to me
versatile.
how many cards
When this
entities
card was
actually
still
have on
not
the ban
banned,
list.
it was used in tons of decks. And considering how much play Instant Fusion sees even today, if Norden was ever unbanned, it would instantly see play in lots of decks. It's not even really Instant Fusion that's the problem, because Norden was used in decks that actually didn't
Instant
use
fusion
Instant
is a
Fusion.
bit of an issue, but
Zodiac
it's
decks
not
were
the
using Norden
problem.
by just normal polymerization summoning. The card is generically too good.
Although if you
and
did
too
hit instant
useful in too
fusion,
many
Norden
situations.
would die.
And that's why I think it's the best fusion monster. And now that's the end of the video. If you disagree with my placement of some of
Yeah,
these
you
cards
made
on
some
the
good
list,
points.
I'd be
I don't
interested
disagree
in
with any
hearing
of
your
the
opinions
places,
about
really.
why.
It made
Or
sense.
if you think I missed some cards even way better
Fusion.
that
I
should
mean,
have
this
made
is
the
5
list.
years old,
Also,
so,
if
you
you have
know,
any
we got
ideas
more
for future
fusion
videos
monsters
just like
since
this
then.
one, I'd love to hear them down in the comments.
But yeah, it was a solid list by Dualox. Like I said, he's kind of... I don't actively go out to search his videos, but if I just need some background noise, put on a Dualox episode, it's fine. It's a top 10 list, you're in safe hands. But yeah, you just listed all the things that were banned and why it makes sense. Like, some of them were, if anything, I'm looking at some of them just being like, why'd you hit that and not that? It's like, well, yeah, future proofing. Well, the rare instance of Konami future proofing. But yeah, what are you gonna do? And yeah, just a solid top 10 list. And I don't think his stats increased that much with time, although he's added more personality since then. Instead of more facts guy, he's got more of that snark to him. Otherwise, they're gonna come over into that. But hey, you know, you got what works, and he does a freaking channel for bloody everything. He's got Pokemon, World of Warcraft, I want to say. Like, just about every card game is the point. Got a top 10 list for everything. He plays all of the card games. I'm waiting for the top 10 Uno cards list. Green number 7 better be in the top 10 or I'm gonna unsubscribe. Anyway, now I'm just baloneying. But yeah, saw the top 10 list and good work dual logs, and yeah. So, till next time, later.